Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Approval of the minutes for September 7th. We don't have a full grouping. We need one more. I don't know if you've moved to work to table. Why don't we move ahead then? Okay.
Yes, no speakers? No speakers. So, Mr. Chairman, the 2017 work plan is included in the book. There are no changes to that. The 2018 work plan is also included in the book for your review, which is basically mirrors the 2017 work plan. The first item on the executive summary is the business and diversity initiatives. This highlights the events that that our department attended for the months of October, November, and December. I just want to highlight 3 events. The MWB forum was held in Albany. It's one of the largest, it is the largest forum of its kind. Over 2,000 people attended. President Foy spoke at that meeting as well. We also attended the VetCon conference, which is designed to attract, not attract, but to extend business opportunities to disabled veteran-owned businesses. We also held earlier this month a forum for law firms, for minority law firms, and another one will be held in January. For the certification activity, there were 32 new applications received during the quarter. When you compare that to the previous quarters, that number is higher. That number is higher when compared with the last year's quarter, but the same as the previous years. There were also 25 applications processed, which is the number is the same as it has been the last 2 years. But I would point out that the number of applications that we have returned has steadily gone down, as has the number of applications that applicants have withdrawn has gone up. Moving to EEO report. So in the workforce, there are over 73,600 employees combined overall. The percentage of women is 18%, or over 13,000, and 68% are minorities. That's over 50,000 employees. Additionally, over 1,800 employees are veterans. That's 3% of the workforce. I would point out that the percentage of women has gone up by 6% in the workforce. When you compare that to the third quarter of 2016, as it relates to race and ethnicity, the percentage of minorities has also increased by 5% when compared with the third quarter of 2016. For the number of new hires, over 5,800 employees were hired, of which 26% are women and 76% are minorities, as well as 3% are veterans. Additionally, the agencies handled over a total of 511 EEO complaints, of which 293 were internal complaints and 218 were external complaints. Additionally, there were 339 Title VI complaints that the agencies handled for the reporting period. This page just gives a snapshot of workforce as of the end of September of this year. The next is the Small Business Development Program update.
Good morning, Chairman Malloy and board members. Currently, we have 284 contractors participating in the program. Since the inception of the program, To date, we have $270.4 million in prime contracts that have been awarded, 100 loans that have been approved, totaling $13.9 million, and we have 86 projects that were completed with loans. Our bond program, which is geared towards our Tier 2 and federal program, since inception we had $242 million in single surety bonding and $460 million in aggregate bonding for our Tier 2 and federal program contractors. Since the inception of the program, it's an estimated 6,489 jobs that were created within the MWBDB community.
Thanks, George. And I wanted to circle back around to you, Mr. Chair, with respect to the Small Business Mentoring Program. As you know, that the previous 2 years that we failed to hit our targets, and so we are now meeting monthly in order to make sure that the agencies are sending us their contracts so we can hit our goal this year of $146 million. However, based upon a conversation with the Vice Chair and you, we need to basically do a more effective job of diversifying the outcomes in the program. And we're finding now that the agencies are sending us projects, but they're larger projects, which is out of the reach of the ethnic minority firms in the program. So we're going to circle back around to the agencies to see if they can debundle or forward smaller projects so those firms can not only be trained but be placed on bid lists so the outcomes can be more in fact diversified. And so we're working on that right now, and I will be circling back around to the operating agencies in a very, very short period of time having that conversation.
Very good. Thank you.
The next item, Mr. Chairman, is the Interagency Task Force. This is a group which we used to meet, but we haven't met for some time, but we intend to have regular meetings of this group in the coming year, 2018.
Of the task force is to meet with all of the agencies and their chief engineers to deal with any and all MWDBE issues at that agency.
For the MWDBE contract compliance, I would like to report that for the federal fiscal year 2017, which ended on September 30th, 2017, the federally funded awards were $1.5 billion approximately, of which the DBE participation was $244 million. That's 16%. That's slightly below the goal. But however, when we account for all the payments which were made on federally funded contracts, out of $1.4 billion which was paid to prime contractors, the DBE participation was $285 million or 21%. That's well above the 17% goal. For the state-funded contracts, the goal has been 30%. And of the $1.3 billion which was awarded in state-funded contracts, the MWB participation was $200 million or 15%. In terms of payments made to prime contractors, of $1.2 billion which was paid, $285 million was paid to MWBEs, which is 25% of the payments. We also, Mr. Chairman, have a goal for service-disabled, veteran-owned businesses participation in our procurement activities, which is 6%. And $1.1 billion was awarded to such firms. And in terms of payments made to prime contractors, $1.1 billion paid, and the SD-VOB participation was over approximately $950 million. And that's, unfortunately, that's less than the goal, which it came out to 0.1%.
This is an area that we need to work on. There's been some challenges with the program that a lot of the SD, VOP certified firms who are certified are in the upstate region, and we are basically looking to go out and recruit and to integrate these firms more via the agencies. The only area that's really achieving the 6% goal here is the underwriting. And so, so basically, they are hitting their targets, in which you will hear later on.
For the discretionary procurements, out of a total of 202 million awards with value of 400,000 or less, 443 million, I'm sorry, or 21% was awarded to MWBEs, and an additional 4% or 7 million was awarded to small business concerns. For architectural and engineering awards, which were made through the discretionary process, for the January to September period, there were 5 projects awarded, totaling 588,000, and since inception, 1.6 million has been awarded. For IT discretionaries, a total of 187 awards were made with the value of 31 million, and since inception, the value has been 51.4 million. We also are reporting on outside counsel fees, which were paid during the reporting period. So there were 19.5 million total outside counsel fees paid, of which the MWB law firm received 1.3 million, which comes out to 6.6%. In terms of closing contracts, we continue to make great progress in that regard. Over 1,100 contracts were closed, with additional 19 are in the process of being closed, and 48 contracts are pending agency action. We also continue to make site visits. Happy to report that for the period January to October, 552 site visits were made.
Let me circle back around for a second. In the area of A&E, we must do a more effective job of issuing awards to the all-agency panel that we have. And once again, I will be circling around back to the agencies to get them to do a more effective job of embracing this tool that we have in order to drive the spend in that area. The same can be said with the legal fees. We've done a outreach for those law firms who are focused on torts. In January, we are going to be bringing in all of our certified law firms in other areas in order to make sure that the goals in this area of 30% is going to be achieved on the law firms or the assignments that's going to be issued to outside law firms.
For capital projects, so for the capital projects for the reporting period, approximately 996 million was awarded in federally funded projects, with the DB participation of 16% or 158 million. We also have state-funded capital projects, of which 547 was awarded, and out of that 75 million or 14% went to MBEs, and 59 million or 11% went to WBEs. So the total MWB participation for the state-funded capital projects is 25%. And is Patrick Isom here? Oh, yes.
Good morning. I am presenting on behalf of Patrick McCoy in the Finance Department. This report reflects underwriting fees related to bond transactions that were closed as of September 30th, 2017. We continue to use practices that help position our department to continue to meet and hopefully exceed the New York State mandated NWB and SWB goals by the end of the state fiscal year. Currently, for the first 2 quarters of the New York State fiscal year, 2017 and 2018, $3.9 million was awarded in underwriting fees, and that was an MWB participation of 39%, which was $1.5 million, and a WBE participation of 14%. which is approximately $537,000. Additionally, we still are maintaining our SDVOB participation goals at 6%, which is $237,000.
So what is the grand total again of MW SDOV inclusion?
That's approximately 56%, over 56%.
So that's the highest in the agency and the highest of any agency that I know of in the state of New York. So you guys are doing a great job and continuing to lead the way. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Next is the Asset Fund Manager's report. Yes.
Hi, good morning. I'm Sean Crawford, Chief Investment Officer. Just want to present a snapshot of where we stand in MWBE participation in the pension funds as of 9/30/2017. We ended the quarter with combined assets across both the pension plans of almost $1.1 billion in MWBE assets, representing about 15% of the total asset pool in the pension funds. The MWBE assets grew by $56 million over the course of the quarter, or 5.4%, outpacing the market. So we had some contributions that went into some of these firms over the course of the quarter. Most of the assets are in traditional asset classes, so equities, fixed income. That is 21% of the total traditional asset book, which is, I think, well ahead of where we see our peers in the market. And looking at the underlying asset classes of equities, especially U.S. equities, we have 51% participation there, 27% non-U.S. equities, and 9% in fixed income. That's very unique against the peer group. Most of our peer group has a concentration within fixed income. We have the opposite. So the higher fee asset classes is actually where we have concentration. We had a very busy year. I've attended over 60 manager meetings with MWBE firms and 10 events, and I think this has done a lot to help us source new firms and really raise the profile and what we're looking for. And I have a pipeline in hedge funds and private equity that is actually very exciting, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get there on some of these firms over the course of 2018. And that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Let me ask you a question. So how many assets are currently being managed by minority-owned and women-owned firms?
Total assets, almost $1.1 billion.
So $1.1 billion,
yeah.
Which is a great number. Now, how is that compared to both the city controller and the state controller?
The comparison's tough because they also include emerging managers
right.
in their totals. We exclude emerging managers. We look at exclusively MWBE. But their totals are around 10%, including emerging managers, maybe a little bit higher.
Right.
So
ours is about 15%.
We're 15% excluding emerging. I think if you put emerging in there, we're around 20%
That's great.
Overall.
Thanks. And I see you everywhere. So I see you in Albany. I see you at a lot of the events. So you're doing a great job. And thank you.
Outreach is an important part of this, right? So happy to do it.
Great. Thank you. I wanted to circle back to page 27 for a second, and I want to give credit where credit is due. If you look at the all-agency pools that we develop in the areas of A&E and IT and legal services, if you look at the IT, there's been 187 awards totaling $51.4 million, and I want to give credit to the BSC, who is doing a great, fantastic job in this area of giving assignments to certified IT firms.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes our report. Our next report will be in February, at which point we will give you some update on 2017.
And let me say also, I want to just give credit to my staff. I mean, I'm here sometimes at 7, 8 o'clock at night. I still have staff here working. And so they're doing a great, fantastic job of making sure that this program that we have is one of the best programs in the nation. So thank you.